What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to Week 16 of the 2019-2020 NFL season. The Eagles, of course, have a rather big game on tap on Sunday late afternoon against, of course, those Dallas. Yes, it is a game that could decide the division title if it goes the way we hope it doesn't go and Dallas wins the game. Turn off these lights here, although it is being very festive. Um, but of course, we don't want that. We want the Eagles to get a victory and survive for another week. And if they can win on Sunday against Dallas and then win again next Sunday against the Giants in the Meadowlands, they will be division champs. They will be going to the playoffs at 9-7. And hey, as we all know, if you get into the playoffs, you have a shot. If you don't make the playoffs, you don't have a shot. So, yes, it's a monster game. It's a monster game, obviously, on Sunday against the Evil Empire there in Dallas. Well, I guess the Evil Empire would really be the Patriots, but the the old Evil Empire in Dallas, and yes, it's been quite a week, in sports talk radio. Of course, you've had battles with Eagle fans versus local Dallas fans, and you've had various opinions on how this game is going to go with the hosts of each show. Some feel the Eagles have a shot. Some feel, because of, the lack of the weapons and whatnot and the injuries and inconsistencies that they don't. What I don't like, though, is that some people are just basing this off of how Dallas played last week. Because, honestly, I don't care how they played last week. Yeah, they had a good game against the Rams. Congratulations. They finally popped their cherry on the season and beat a team that was above 500. Wonderful. The game was played in Dallas, and it was a big win for them, and they got it, and they had their most complete game of the year, perhaps, in winning that game. But I still remember the Dallas team from those weeks ago where they struggled against quarterbacks like, Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky. Lest we forget that they made Mitch Trubisky look like a world beater in that game in Chicago. Okay, they lose on Thanksgiving and I know that the Bills are a good team, and Allen, is part of the reason, and that defense is nasty. But that game was played in Dallas, and they didn't look very good in that game. And I get it; it's a week to week deal, but at the same time, for most of these past weeks, Dallas has not looked that good. They have looked like a 500 team that they are right now. They're 7-7, just like the Eagles. But just because they played well against the Rams, the Rams, to be honest, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the win, even though it sounds like I am. The Rams are paper champions. The Rams are one of the most softest teams. I mean, they're just unimpressive. I know they've played better leading up to that game, and I thought, look, I'll raise my hand. I thought Dallas were going to lose that game, going into that week. But at the same time, I mean, the Rams to me are not a very impressive team. Their quarterback. I will take Carson Wentz every day of the week over Jared Goff. Jared Goff does not impress me one bit. I think if you take Jared Goff away from that offense and away from McVay, he's a very mediocre quarterback. To the point that in the Super Bowl last year, the Rams, their offense was just helpless against the Patriots. I mean, helpless against the Patriots. Whereas just the year before, I know it's a year, but just the year before, Nick Foles and the Eagles, put up what they put up against the Patriots. And then the Rams go into that game, this great offense, the McVay, the whiz kid goes into the Super Bowl last year, and they look like garbage, against the Patriots, and really in an awful Super Bowl. I mean, that Super Bowl was just so lackluster. It was boring. It really, if you like defense, it had defense, but that's about all it had. And I know the year before when we won it, It was an offensive explosion. It was like a Madden game, and you're not going to get that every year. But I mean, oh my goodness, I will take Super Bowl 52 over Super Bowl 53 every day of the week. Not just because the Eagles won. It was an exciting game. Last year that was a yawn fest with the Patriots and the Rams. So the Rams, to me, they have some good players. I mean, Donald, obviously, Ramsey. I still wish the Eagles would have got, but to me, it's just too much on that team. It's just paper champs, and that's what they're going to be. I don't think the Rams are going to be anything better than that, for the next few years. So the Dallas beating the Rams the way they did, to me, look, they got a win. It was a big win for them. It kind of saved their season, if you will. But just because they beat the Rams at home, it's not a reason for me to say, oh, well, the Eagles can't win this game because Dallas beat the Rams. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because I have much more on to look at in how bad they looked in previous weeks opposed to one game at home. There's more bad than good that I've seen with Dallas in the past month. And one game is not going to sway me, to say, oh, well, they're just this unbeatable juggernaut. They have this genius coach, and whatnot. This is the team we have to be very fearful for because they're undefeated coming into this game. No, they played one good game. They played one good game. I'm not that impressed. I'm not that worried. If the Eagles play their game, they're at home, take care of business at home, you walk away with a win. Dallas has been very inconsistent. And I know the Eagles have too. And look, there's enough to be worried about with the Eagles team, than to say, well, just because Dallas is coming in, we're just going to lose because it's Dallas. Whereas my mind about Dallas is they're the only thing they've been consistent at has been inconsistent. That talent on that team, are you kidding me? They're 7-7 with all that talent. I mean, the Eagles being 7-7, you look at who they don't have on the team right now. I mean, they fielded 3 wide receivers the last 2 weeks. 3 of them. They have practice squad guys out there playing well. Give them credit. But that's what we have. Dallas, with all this firepower, with all this talent on both sides of the ball, is 7-7. They should be much better than 7-7. They should have double-digit wins right now. But why don't they? Because they're coached poorly. Is still there. He's still going to be there tomorrow, or Sunday rather, clapping on the sideline like he always does. Their players are... It's almost like they play when they want to play. I don't hate Dak Prescott. I don't think he's a hateable guy. I can name, Cowboys from the past, even Cowboys on this team, to me that are hateable. Ezekiel Elliott is a hateable guy. Okay, the overgrown Ewok, which, by the way, speaking of, I did come back just now from seeing, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, back from the theater. I really enjoyed it. I understand why people, the hardcore fans would have some things about it, but for me, I am someone who appreciates the franchise. I've watched every movie. I remember the movies from when I was young, the first 3 that came out. So I definitely look forward to it. I really liked the latest 3 opposed to the previous, the prequel that came out, which there were good aspects about it, but there was just way too much that just. I still watch them when they're on, from time to time, but it just, yeah. I enjoyed these. Episodes, 7, 8, and 9, much more than I did 1, 2, and 3. Of course, 4, 5, and 6 are still the top to me. Although, I would put 7 up there with some of those. I mean, 7 to me, the Force Awakens is still, to me, one of the best. I just really enjoyed that one. But this one I thought was pretty good. It kind of went in areas that, wasn't expecting, but that's what makes it, fun. And some of the because I mean, talking to coworkers over these years, about, what the relationship could be with some of these characters and, what their history is and everything. And, Yeah, it wasn't exactly what I expected, but I'm not giving any spoilers. You'll just have to go see the movie. I enjoyed it though. You know what? It's a long movie. You are sitting there for a while, but it went by. Lots of action. If you're a fan of the franchise, I think you'll enjoy it. I can understand again why the hardcore, Star Wars fans would have some issues of it, but at the same time, I was entertained for over the 2 hours sitting there, and I might not be as huge a fan as some other Star Wars fans are, but as a fan of the series, I certainly appreciated and enjoyed the movie, and I was glad to go, and I was there with some coworkers, and we had a good time watching the movie. As we watched the last this latest trilogy. We watched all of them together, so we wanted to watch this one together too. So we met up at the theater. I have off today, but met up at the theater, saw it. Um, my boss is a huge Star Wars fan, so he gave it the thumbs up. So, but anyhow, yes, to me, Dakota isn't as a hateable person, but I do think he's way overrated. And I think it's partly because he is a cowboy. He plays in that market. He plays on that team. He gets overhyped. The guy has a losing record against winning, teams above 500 in his career. And I honestly, um, I get why he would be as hyped as he was because he had, his rookie season he was really good. I mean, obviously he put up big time numbers, and the team was having success until they lost to the Packers in the playoffs. So, but at home, but but I get it. But to me, I'm just not overly impressed by him. To the point that even the team hasn't given them the money yet, So, and look, Carson still has things to improve on. He still has to grow. But I am biased because I'm an Eagles fan. But to me, I think Carson, when their careers are over, if I can forecast this thing going out throughout their careers, I think Carson's going to have the better career. I think Carson will have a shot to win a Super Bowl. Will be in a Super Bowl. I don't know if Dak will get there. And maybe partly it's coaching that might get in his way, and the owner, who's very, who basically is the emperor, Palpatine, of the NFL. I know some people will say it's Belichick with the hoodie and everything. I get it, but to me it will always be Jerry Jones, and I think he's just very, he gets in the way. He gets in. He's um, kind of trips over himself, with this team. And I don't know if they're going to be able to have that ultimate success again, as long as Jerry Jones is there as the owner, as long as the coaching staff is what it is, and I don't know if they're ever going to get the coaching right there, because when you're a coach of that team, you have the owner being as meddling as he is, going on their local talk radio 2 times a week and talking this and that about the coach. I don't know if that's in conducive conditions for any coach to go there and have a lot of success. And again, that might not be all Dak's fault, but I just, I'm kind of looking at this thing. If they give him the money, if they keep him there and pay him, and he's given a long-term contract, when the time is done, I still think Carson Wentz is going to have more success in his career than Dak Prescott. And what I mean by that is more playoff success, chances at Super Bowls than Dak does, because I think the Eagles are run, without the meddling owner and with a better coaching, with better coaching. I know Doug's kind of been under fire, but I'll still take him over Garrett any day of the week. And even if Dallas gets another coach, which they probably will, I mean, barring them going to the Super Bowl, I think Garrett's going to be out of there. And regardless of who they get next, you're still going to have the meddling owner. Now, as an Eagles fan, I don't care. I think he can meddle all he wants. He can get in their way, and they can, not make it to the NFC title game, and year after year after year, with the pressure and everything that comes with being, on that franchise and everything. And, if that's it, I'm not going to shed a tear of it, because that's the team I hate the most. Of all teams in pro sports, I hate Dallas more than anyone else. I'm glad they fail. To me as an Eagles fan, I do remember, all those years of these local bandwagon Dallas fans, getting on us about not winning a Super Bowl. Well, when we won it, obviously now Dallas has gone a little while. It's been what, going on 25 years now since they not just winning one, but getting to a Super Bowl. How about just getting to an NFC title game? It's been almost 25 years for that franchise to get to an NFC title game. The Eagles have been to multiple ones in that time span. I mean, they've been to at least, 6 or 7 in that time span. They've been to 2 Super Bowls. They won a Super Bowl. If you were to say who had more success since the last time Dallas won a Super Bowl up until current time, it's the Eagles. It's hands down, it's the Eagles. The Eagles have been the better run franchise. The Eagles have had more success. And I'm happy about that because I do remember back in the 90s, back in high school, with these Dallas fans with their starter jackets and their Troy Aikman, starter jerseys and whatnot, telling us time after time about their successes and how the Eagles will never do it, and that was always their thing with us, is that you'll never win. They always use that word never, and that's a tough thing to do because never is a very long time. So when the Eagles did it against the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL, the New England Patriots of all teams, Dallas fans really had nothing. That was their nightmare. That was the exact scenario that they did not want to see. Now I'm not talking about the diehard, Dallas fans that are always there, that are, they cam up on YouTube, whether they win or they lose, or they call in local sports talk radio. You did have some local Dallas fans call up after the Eagles won, congratulating, the Eagle fans. Hey, you guys finally got it. We were hard on you all those years. Hate to say this, but you know what? Give credit where it is. You got it. Congratulations. And to those fans, I will give credit. They're true fans. But there are way, way more of the other kind of Dallas fans around here. And I think as Eagles Nation, we know what these fans are, right? These are the fans that you don't hear anything from them when they lose. They don't come on the local radio. They don't do anything on YouTube. They don't comment on any social media threads. They're silent. They go back under a rock. It's like they don't even know that football exists. So for the previous 3 weeks before the Rams game last week, we didn't hear anything from them. They were quiet, didn't say anything, didn't want to, nothing. Now, all of a sudden, they beat the Rams, and now we go into the week where, of course, they're playing the Eagles. Here they come. Here they come out of the woodwork, calling into the radio, doing social media, doing this, doing that. Oh, look at us, thumping the chests. Here we are. We're winning the division, blah, blah, blah. And these are most, and I will say most, of the local, how the local Dallas fans behave. This is exactly what they are. This is one of the things that makes them so hateable. And maybe it's their mission in life to do that, to get under the skin, and they know that they're just going to like the rival team in town instead of being an Eagles fan. And I'm not one of those that will say that, hey, you have to be a fan of the place where you live. That's it. You can't be a fan of any other team, because there are people, who live in areas where they don't have a pro team, where you have to pick a team. Or maybe even people that live in the area and it's just how they grew up. Family members were fans, and, it is what it is. There is a thing as civic pride, and I feel I have it. Because I watch all of our teams, and I always hope that, the home teams have success. There are other players, and I will freely admit there are other players and other teams that I enjoy watching, but I won't root for them over the Philly teams, never. But yeah, it's those local Dallas fans, and they know who they are. I mean, they're the ones that just talk after wins and don't say anything after losses and kind of go into the witness protection. It's like you have to find them on milk cartons, for after losses. But after wins, they're all chesty. They're all talkative. They're chirpy then. And those are the ones I never give any credit to, because they just don't deserve any credit. If you're only going to be there for the good times, what type of fan is it? I mean, if that was the case, I could only be an Eagle fan for like a couple years out of my life, And I couldn't be a Flyers fan, and I couldn't be a Sixers fan because they haven't won since, the last time the Sixers won, I was way too young to really realize it, and the Flyers last time they won was before I was born. So by that nature, well, then I could never be a fan of those teams, right? So, yeah, I mean, but going off topic here, off tangent, but again, I am not looking at last week's game for Dallas, as impressive as it might have been against the Rams, and saying that this is the reason that Dallas is going to come here and win. Because I've seen them be much more inconsistent, wildly inconsistent, particularly on the road this season, than them having ultimate success. And a 7-7 record is a 7-7 record. And with more talent than the Eagles have right now on paper, Dallas has the same record. So it's not like they're this great, much better team than the Eagles. Now, if the Eagles come into this game tomorrow, I keep because when you have off work, it feels like a weekend. I keep thinking today's Saturday, today's Friday. Come on, brain. When we go to Sunday and the Eagles, excuse me, make the same mistakes that they've been making defensively, more so than anything else, is it going to be hard for them to win? Sure, because Dallas has a lot of firepower on offense, even though they haven't been overly consistent, scoring-wise, even with all that talent. They still have a lot of talent there. Guys like Amari Cooper that you got to, atone for. Zeke Elliott, you got to atone for him. And if the Eagles' defense is missing tackles and, the cornerbacks are getting burned on plays, I mean, look, it happened in Dallas, earlier in the season when the Eagles, lost a bad one there. Then, yeah, it's going to be harder to win this game. So what the Eagles need this week is something that they haven't had in a few weeks. They need their defense to show up. You need your defense to be there from start to finish. And they have injuries, and they there's guys that have been playing inconsistently, and the pass rush hasn't always been there, and it's led to openings in the secondary because the secondary isn't as great at covering. But tighten it up. You are playing a quarterback who, all indications, he's got a bum shoulder. Put pressure on him. Get to him. I know he's elusive. He's he's an athletic quarterback. He keeps plays alive, but get pressure on the guy. We didn't, last week against a rookie quarterback, they simply did not get enough pressure on him. And for a guy who's been, for an offense, I will say, that's been offensively challenged for a good portion of the season, the Redskins were putting up some, they were making plays. It's because the Eagles' defense allowed them to make plays. They didn't get enough pressure on the quarterback. Did not, do enough to be able to befuddle that offense that we see other weeks. They just, Haskins and company, they're not doing what they did a week ago. But it's because the Eagles' defense allowed them to. And, the Redskins made some plays offensively. They had some guys playing with pride, AP, and Haskins obviously is a rookie. He wants to make a name for himself in this league. So, does he have the most talent around him? No, but I think that, what they had was working there for a while, and it was getting frustrating watching that game because you're like, why the heck aren't we doing more, disguising blitz, doing more of these schemes to confuse a rookie quarterback? They just didn't do enough of it. It's like they were playing vanilla defense, and it led to some big plays. Now look at the second half in the fourth quarter in particular. They were able to get some stops, particularly on that fumble by Wentz. They held him to a field goal. That was huge, because that allowed the Eagles to go down the field the next drive and get the winning touchdown to Ward. But just way too much of these just lackadaisical efforts and the tackling was atrocious for most of that game last week. And if you do that against Dallas and Zeke Elliott, as much as I hate the guy, freaking overgrown Ewok, as much as I can't stand him, he's talented. He's going to make plays. He's going to run right through you. You got to be able to wrap up. And that's something we haven't seen this defense do in recent weeks. Well, they got to do it on Sunday. They got to do it on Sunday because, the talent level certainly goes up this Sunday with the guys that play on Dallas on offense. really good offensive line, and they have a lot of playmaking type of receivers on that team that can hurt you. And obviously, number 21. So, I didn't want to make this video too long. I know a lot of times I do, and it's Dallas week, and I really get revved up for these games against Dallas. I can't stand that team. I cannot stand them. And if we could put it wouldn't end their season, because if the Eagles somehow lose to the Giants the next week and Dallas wins their game against Washington, they got the tiebreaker. But if we could put them that much more closer to 1 foot in the coffin for the season, then awesome. I will be absolutely, ecstatic. And not more importantly, for the Eagles to have a chance to win the division, even at 9-7, you make the playoffs, you have a home game in the wild card, and anything can happen. We've seen this before. Anything can happen. You can go on a run. And plus, we want that playoff experience for number 11, right? We want that playoff experience for Carson. So it's doubly important to win this game. Obviously, it's Dallas. You always want to beat them. But at the same time, obviously as a fan, I want to see my team in the playoffs. I want the Eagles to make it. I don't care about the record. Get in. Give playoff experience to Carson going forward. That's going to be valuable, as it was for Nick Foles some years ago. So, yeah, get it done. Find a way. I know there's a lot of injuries. I know there's a lot of reasons to be nervous about the game, and the coaching has been, inept at times and whatever. But, this is the time to put it together. And because they're in the NFC East at 7-7 going into weeks, I keep saying 9-7. They'd be 8-7, of course. There's only one more game. Yeah. But 8-7. Look, you win this game. Oh yeah, they would be 9-7. I don't know. I'm a little out of it from being in movie theater for a few hours. But yeah, so if they win this game, they're 8-7. They win next week, they're 9-7. You win a division title in the Meadowlands, and you take your chances with whoever you're playing here in the wild card, whether it's Seattle, whether it's San Francisco, Minnesota, Green Bay, whoever it is. You take your chances. And if you win that game, you find a way. The following week, you might get D-Jax back from injury, and hey, you never know. Go on a run. Why not? You see it happen all the time. So you can't do that if you don't get in. So I'd much rather see the team get in and have a shot than not. But like I said, doubly important. It's Dallas, and it's also a chance for us to move forward and win a division title. I have a lot of friends coming over on Sunday. Big Slim's coming over for the weekend. A lot of buddies will be here on Sunday. The crew's going to be here, as I said before. And yeah, it's going to be a house full of Eagle fans all hoping to see a victory. It should be very interesting. I hope I have room down here. I was even thinking the other day, I hope I have enough chairs. People says, last time I had a big gathering here down in the man cave for a game was the Super Bowl 50, 51, when the Patriots beat the Falcons in overtime. That's the last time I had that many people down in the man, and I was able to do it. But I'm gonna have to try to do it again, because it's gonna be a packed house, as it were. It's gonna be a packed man cave down here, and we're all hoping to see a victory. And I will take some video. I will have video of the game and of the madness at the Mighty Kingdom for the game. So look forward to that, and I look forward to having good friends over, and obviously it's the holidays, so doubly. And I was gonna turn on, there it is. It's the holidays, so hey, it's always a good time to have friends over and just enjoy that, and also of course a pretty big game too. So anyhow, let's get into the festive four for this week 16. Festive, I know festive. Last week was not a good week for the festive four, going 1-3. But the record going into this week is still 36-20. That's still pretty good. And this week's festive four, festive is actually picking two of the games from Saturday. Yes, we have a Saturday. Was it like a triple header or something like that? It's a triple header on Saturday, right? Lots of football on Saturday. Lots of football again on Sunday. So Festive's picking a couple games from the Saturday games. Festive likes Houston over Tampa Bay and San Francisco over those paper Rams. Festive's not very pleased with them after last week's performance against Dallas. So Festive likes Houston and San Francisco in the Saturday games. And on Sunday, Festive likes Tennessee over New Orleans to keep their playoff hopes alive, and Kansas City over Chicago. So in recap again, Festive likes Houston over Tampa Bay, likes San Francisco over the Rams, likes Tennessee over New Orleans, and Kansas City over Chicago. That's it for the Festive Four. And that's it for the Festive Four until after Christmas. Now, there will be one more Festive Four in 2019, because next week, of course, we'll get that vid in leading up to the Eagles-Giants game, of course, for Week 17. And since that game is going to be played in 2019, the final game of 2019 for the NFL, for the Eagles, and hopefully we'll have some games in 2020, early in 2020, it's posted later in the fall to look forward to. But there will be one more, of course, vid for the Festive Four, with the Festive Four, I should say, in it for 2019. And that's Week 17. That wraps it up. So, anyhow, that's it. There is no more. Hey, to all those that will be at the game tomorrow, I know the 4th and John crew and all of Eagles Nation that are going to be there. Look, you all have a chance to be the difference, because your voices can be the difference. Your booing can be the difference. Make a lot of noise. Show what the home field advantage in Philly is all about, as we did, of course, those years ago when we took it all the way to the Super Bowl. Do it again. This is a great home field advantage. The fans, I know they're going to be there. It's Dallas. It's full throat time, full throttle time. Put it in hyperdrive as they would in Star Wars, and get it done. You know, be the difference. Be that 12th man for the Eagles. And you know, be loud and proud and show what the Philly fans can do, and let's help them get that win. Of course, we're going to be here, not at the game, but here in the man cave here, watching and on the TV and hoping for the best. We'll be cheering and booing and hopefully not upset afterwards. But you know, hey, it's a tough game. I'm not saying it's not a tough one. You know, I'm not trying to take. I'm not trying to push aside Dallas. I know they're a good team, and it's going to be tough for the Eagles, obviously coming in still with all the injuries that they have. But at the same time, I am encouraged with how they finished off the last two games. We're able to get wins. I don't care. Like I said, this time of year, I don't care who you're playing. If you're in a tight division race, if you can have more W's at the end than L's, that's what matters. That gets you in, and particularly this week because you're playing the team that you're playing against for that division crown. So let's get it done. No excuses. Just go out there and play. And I think, I believe in this team. I do. I know, they've made us crazy this season at times. But, you got to believe. It's like Tug McGraw used to say, you got to believe. We're at home. The home fans will be there. Hopefully the team does show up in this game for the full four quarters at home and get a monster win against Dallas and keep their division champs and playoff hopes alive going into Week 17 against the Giants. So we'll see how it goes. We got to get there first. All right, Eagles Nation, thanks for watching. Let's go Birds, as always, and have a Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate Christmas watching this. Happy Hanukkah. The start of Hanukkah is Sunday, so happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Festivus. And may the force be with you, and may the force be with our Birds on Sunday against Dallas. Beat them. Anyhow, I will see you all with after the game. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye.